Hello, and in this video I want to discuss the alarming increase in inflation, cost of living. But guess what? The pastors are fat and the government are also fat out of this economic pandemic. It doesn't affect the pastors and it doesn't affect the government. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of people, they put their trust in these false prophets, these false pastors, and these false government. And the reason being I call them false is because when you are at the top of the hierarchy, you protect yourself. Look, in the Bible, throughout the whole Bible, even Jesus, when he whipped the money lenders, because he saw, if you look at the same money lenders, the bankers, they lend money to you knowing full well that you can't afford to pay it back. But people borrow money because they're struggling and they don't even think about whether they can pay it back or not. All they're thinking about is at that present moment putting food on the table. And these bankers, the government, they're aware of this, and they'll push money at you, digital money, false security, knowing full well you are forever in debt. And that's the reason why the Bible is against debt. There's a theological basis, a redemption basis involved, but the Bible economically is against debt and the source of debt, the reason behind debt, and that is borrowing. Many people are lining their pastor's pocket, their false prophets, and they're living their lives in debt, borrowing money from the banks so that they can fund the government, the rich government, those in Congress, those in Parliament, those in the House of Commons. You are funding their lives. In fact, while the nurses and doctors are getting a pay cut, not a pay rise, with the cost of inflation, technically, I was talking to a nurse about this, they're getting a pay cut. But the politicians, the government, the pastors giving themselves a pay rise. The bankers are giving themselves a pay rise. And out of the result of this war, Russia with Ukraine, which is causing the price of petrol to go up, fuel, oil, gas, food. In fact, they said that 85% of Americans will skip a meal. 85% of Americans will skip a meal. In Britain, they said the food banks are empty. There's a food bank where I live, and you know something? I've never seen it so packed in my life. People living in from the food banks because they just about live within their means, just about. Some people can't cope. They wonder where the next bread is coming from. But these kind of issues don't affect the pastors who are living in mansions. So, a handful of pastors are billionaires. They could have easily helped with this poverty crisis. They don't care. These celebrities who are living on ultra millions, some celebrities are billionaires like Oprah Winfrey. They go on TV and they pretend they care about poor people. But you know something? Like Joel Osteen says, be happy in your poverty. Smile in your poverty. The same way Mother Teresa, when she calmed the poor people in India, Jesus loves you in your poverty. In your poverty, I can see Christ. Little did we find out about Mother Teresa and what she was up to with the Vatican, which I won't go into for legal purposes. But look it up, Mother Teresa's crime. These people tell you stay poor. These people tell you to struggle and put money in their pockets while we're struggling to put food on the table. In the Bible, we see throughout the whole Old Testament it's interesting, the same Old Testament that these false prophets are using to justify lining their own pockets. The seeds, the wheat are supposed to be put into a barn so that the poor people can eat. They didn't do that. Instead, the government are spending money on nuclear weapons. I don't know what else these nuclear weapons can do. Smart bombs, intelligent bombs. 50 million a piece. They're investing billions while you're starving. And these are the same government that are asking you to vote them. What can this government do for you? This fake government, these fake scientists who are trying to justify immorality by genetics, using genetic arguments. What can they do for you? Your family's starving. And the same government every 4 years or 3 years will peddle your vote. They want you to vote them. Your family starving. The Bible called these people wicked, satanic. But you know something? These wicked satanic government, they know how your mind thinks, and that's the reason why they can manipulate you. They know how your mind thinks, and that's the reason why they can brainwash you. They know what tricks to use. They know what tricks to use. People are starving, struggling to put one meal on the table, and the government are telling you, trust us, don't trust God, trust us. The pastors are telling you, something, exercise your faith, and give us more money. The world is run by vampires. The world is run by evil, corrupt people who are heartless. They are psychopaths. They hoard all these money for themselves. And they care little about the poor. And we poor people, what do? We fall for the tricks time and time again. I'll make another deep video and expose the tricks that they use. The tricks that they use to con you and to make sure you're loyal and subordinate to their mind control, their tricks. This evil is nothing new. You see in the Bible, the rich, the Pharisees looking after themselves while the poor were starving. People say, oh, if God is love, why there's poverty? Look at your government. Look at your bankers. The people you put your trust in. The people you trust more than you trust God. You put your trust in these banking systems, these greedy bankers that love wars. In Fairy Grove, the New World Order, it exposes the tricks and the lies. But sadly, until poor people wake up and begin to realize, stop putting money in your false pastor's pocket, stop supporting the fake government. They don't care about you. This is the proof that they rather spend money on billions, not money, spend billions on arms than to feed your children, than to put food on your table. And the same government you're voting for, if you can't wake up and smell the coffee, it's the same way they deceived you with Bill Gates' project. I won't mention the V word, but it's the same way they deceived you with the Bill Gates project. Either take it or you starve. They're controlling you. They're manipulating you. And you can't see. And by the way, no, I'll leave that for another video. It's going to get too dangerous, right? But we have to wake up. That's why I don't vote anyone. I don't vote anyone. Because if I can't put food on my table, I know full of the pastor ain't going to do it. And the government certainly ain't going to do it either. We got to wake up. The pastors and the government are lining their own pockets, and I'm getting too hot in here, and I got some frozen food in the car, so I'm going to take them back for get defrosted. But don't forget to subscribe, because it's going to get hot. The government need to be exposed.